She stepped off the train, her worn shoes barely holding together, clutching a wedding invitation that felt like a trap. Once shunned and ridiculed, she was now summoned to face her past. The whispers of old wounds, racial slurs and cold glares still lingered in her memory. Why would her ex-husband, who once called her worthless, want her at his lavish wedding? As she walked toward the grand venue, all eyes turned, not in scorn, but in shock. What secret was she carrying that could turn their judgment to awe? This is her story, and it's about to unravel a truth no one saw coming. The sun dipped low as Amara trudged through her small town, her faded dress swaying in the evening breeze. She was a cleaner, her hands calloused from years of scrubbing floors for families who barely acknowledged her. Her life was quiet, simple meals, a rented room, and dreams tucked away like old photographs. But Amara carried a warmth that racism's cold sting couldn't dim. She'd faced it before, muttered slurs, doors slammed in her face. Yet, today felt heavier. The wedding invitation in her pocket burned with unanswered questions. Why now? Why her? As she neared the grand venue, a shadow of doubt crept in. Something was waiting, ready to upend her world. Amara's heart thudded as she approached the glittering wedding venue, its chandeliers casting a glow that felt more like a spotlight than a welcome. The invitation had been clear. Her ex-husband, James, wanted her there, but the why gnawed at her. Years ago, he'd cast her aside, his wealthy family sneering at her darker skin, her modest roots. "You're not one of us," his mother had hissed, and the town had echoed that sentiment with sidelong glances and whispered slurs. Now, as she stepped through the ornate doors, the air grew thick with stares. Guests in tailored suits and shimmering gowns turned, their murmurs slicing through the music. "Is that her?" one whispered. "The cleaner?" another scoffed. Amara's hands trembled, clutching the invitation like a shield. She'd faced this before, being the only one in a room who didn't belong, who wasn't wanted. But this felt different, sharper, like a trap set to spring. James stood at the altar, his bride radiant beside him, but his eyes locked on Amara. A smirk flickered across his face, cold and deliberate. She recognized that look. It was the same one he'd worn when he humiliated her years ago, flaunting his family's wealth while she scraped by. The crowd parted, and a woman in a pearl-encrusted dress, James's mother, strode forward. "You dare show your face here?" she spat, loud enough for the room to hear. The words landed like a slap, and Amara's breath caught. Every eye was on her, waiting for her to crumble. But something stirred inside her. She straightened, her worn shoes steady on the polished floor. She'd come prepared, though no one knew it yet. The weight of her secret pressed against her, urging her forward. As James's mother stepped closer, her voice dripping with venom, a sleek black Rolls-Royce purred outside. Heads turned toward the sound. Amara's lips twitched, not in fear, but in defiance. What was waiting beyond those doors? And why did James's smirk falter for the first time? The room held its breath, and so did Amara, because the moment she'd been waiting for was about to unfold. The room fell silent as the Rolls-Royce's doors opened, and Amara's heart pounded like a drum. James's mother froze mid-sentence, her venomous words choking in her throat. 3 children stepped out, triplets, their faces a perfect blend of Amara's deep brown eyes and James's sharp features. The crowd gasped, their whispers turning to stunned silence. These were Amara's children, hidden from the world, raised in the shadows of her pain. She'd kept them secret, shielding them from the cruelty of James's family, who'd once called her blood unworthy. Now, they stood tall, dressed in crisp outfits, their presence a living rebuke to every slur hurled at her. James's smirk vanished, replaced by a flicker of fear. His bride's smile faltered, her eyes darting between Amara and the children. The guests shifted uncomfortably, their judgment unraveling. Amara stepped forward, her voice steady but burning with years of suppressed rage. "You invited me to shame me," she said, her gaze locked on James. "But I came to show you what I built without you." The triplets walked to her side, their small hands finding hers, a silent strength that made the room feel small. James's mother staggered back, her face pale, as if Amara had torn down the walls of their carefully constructed world. The air crackled with tension. Every eye was on Amara, no longer the poor cleaner to be pitied, but a mother who defied their hate. The injustice that had tried to break her, racial slurs, rejection, a life cast aside, now lay exposed, raw and undeniable. Her children's presence screamed what words couldn't. She was more than their scorn, more than their prejudice. James opened his mouth, but no words came. The crowd waited, breathless. Amara stood unwavering as the wedding hall buzzed with uneasy murmurs. James's face crumpled, his attempt to humiliate her undone by the undeniable truth of her triplets, living proof of her resilience. The guests, once quick to judge, now averted their eyes, shame creeping into their silence. Amara didn't need their apologies. She'd already reclaimed her dignity. She took her children's hands and walked out, the Rolls-Royce waiting like a symbol of her hard-won triumph. She'd built a life far beyond the town's small-minded cruelty, her success a quiet rebuke to years of racial slurs and rejection. The invitation had been a trap, but Amara had turned it into her victory. This wasn't just her story. It was a mirror to countless others. Across cities and towns, people like Amara faced the same sting of prejudice, their worth questioned because of their skin. Her stand wasn't just for her, but for every person told they didn't belong, every life diminished by hate. The triplets, thriving despite the world's scorn, were a testament to what survives when hope refuses to break. Amara's story rippled beyond that night, shared in whispers and posts, a spark for those still fighting their own battles against injustice. Her triumph begs a question. How many more must rise before the world stops judging by color? Racism's wounds run deep, but stories like Amara's remind us. Change begins when we refuse to stay silent. Share her story. Reflect on the faces in your own life that have been dismissed or devalued. What will you do to challenge the hate that lingers? The truth is, it's not just Amara's fight, it's ours.